in Pharmaceuticals in association with Higher Secondary Principals Forum.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's political science lecture. So today we are going to learn chapter number 8, Environment and Natural Resources. So in this chapter we are going to learn environmental concerns in global politics, Earth Summit, India's view on environmental issues, Kyoto Protocol, measures taken by Indian government to protect environment, resource geopolitics, and identity of indigenous people in India. So let's start with our first topic, that is environmental concerns in global politics. Now you must be wondering, why are we learning environment in political science? I'll give you a small example. Sometimes we are engaged in certain activities, like for example, we are making garbage problem, we are creating garbage problem, and then ultimately we are blaming government. Why government is not doing anything for garbage problem? So who comes in the picture? Government. So that's how it becomes a political issue. Clear? So let's start with the first environmental concern. Yes, it is related to agriculture. So throughout the world, cultivable area is barely expanding anymore, and existing agricultural land is losing fertility. Grasslands have been overgrazed, fisheries overharvested, water bodies have suffered extensive depletion, maybe because of different activities, maybe because of mining and other activities, okay, water bodies are depleting. Then the next environmental concern, yes, it is related to health. According to Human Development Report 2006 of United Nations, 1.2 billion people in developing countries have no access to safe water. See, imagine 1.2 billion are not getting proper safe water to drink. Then 2.6 billion people have no access to sanitation. They don't get proper sanitation facilities, okay. So what is the result? It is resulting in death of more than 3 million children every year, okay. So such a big environmental concern. Then next, yes, it is related to forest. Natural forest which help to stabilize the climate, moderate water supplies, and harbor a majority of the plants' biodiversity on land are being cut down, and people are being displaced. Okay, now this we have seen, many of us are facing this problem of deforestation. Forests, mountains are being cut down for development purpose, okay, for building big malls or railway tracks. So what is happening? Because of that, what is the result? Yes, the loss of biodiversity. The loss of biodiversity continues due to the destruction of habitat in areas which are rich in species. We are losing important species of animals, a major environmental concern. Okay, moving on to the next is ozone layer depletion. See, a steady decline in the total amount of ozone in Earth's stratosphere poses a real danger to ecosystem and human health. See, as we all know that ozone layer is depleting because of human activities, because of the harmful gases. And what is happening? What is the result? A direct ultraviolet radiations are coming down on the earth, and it is causing various problems. So for that we need to stop all such activities, we need to stop uses of such harmful gases. Moving on to the next, yes, coastal pollution. Coastal pollution too is increasing globally. The coastal waters are becoming increasingly polluted, largely due to land-based activities. See, whenever you visit, make sure whenever you visit coastal areas, please don't throw plastic bottles or any other stuff in the water. because what we are doing, we are polluting our water. Okay. So these are the various environmental concerns which we have seen. We have seen total 5 environmental concerns. You are free to add more environmental concerns like global warming, climate change. Okay. So then next, moving on to the next topic, it is Earth Summit. Now see, as I told you all, we are facing different environmental concerns. Now what the government is doing to tackle this situation? Government is trying to come up with different measures. Similarly, the United Nations carried out different summits, different meetings to tackle these environmental issues. So one similar is Earth Summit, popularly known as Rio Summit. Now why it is known as Rio Summit? Because it was held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. So let's see what is Earth Summit or resolution of Earth Summit. The UN Conference on Environment and Development held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in June 1992. So here you need to remember the date, okay, and the place. This was called as Earth Summit. Summit means a meeting, okay. The summit was attended by 170 states, thousands of NGOs and many multinational corporations. At the summit, the rich and developed countries of the first world were referred as Global North and the developing countries of the third world were called as Global South. The northern states, I mean the developed countries, they were referred as the Global North, and the developing countries like India and the other countries, they were referred as Global South. Now the northern states, the developed countries, okay, they were talking about depletion of ozone layer, global warming and the big environmental problems. And on the other hand, our developing countries, poor countries, they were talking about development along with the protection of environment, what we call it a sustainable development. Because India along with the other developing countries, okay, we were developing, industries were coming in India, industries were coming in other countries. So we wanted to go for development. Along with development, we also wanted to protect our environment. So we wanted to go for sustainable development. Then the Rio Summit produced conventions, meetings dealing with climate change, biodiversity, forestry, and they recommended a list of development practices, and it is called as Agenda 21. So Agenda 21 is nothing but it was dealing with the conventions. What conventions? About a climate change, biodiversity, forestry, and recommended a list of developmental practices, and they called it a Agenda 21. So then there was a consensus on combining economic growth with ecological responsibility. I told you, okay, India and the other developing countries, we wanted to go for sustainable development, okay. So along with development, we wanted to protect environment. Moving on to the next, India's view on environmental issues. At the G8 meeting in June 2005, India pointed out that the per capita emission rate of the developing countries are a tiny fraction of those in the developed countries. Now tiny, the meaning of tiny means small. Now developed countries are more responsible for this pollution because they are already developed, they have many industries, okay. But on the other side, developing countries, we are just starting with the development. So here developing countries are, we have a least friction, and developed countries, they are more responsible. So this point India wanted to put forward. India is of view that the major responsibility of curbing emission rate with the developed countries, as they are responsible for environmental degradation. Now basically what India's point was, see, these developed countries, they are more responsible for the environmental degradation, so their responsibility automatically increases. That was the only point India wanted to put forward. So then next topic, what is Kyoto Protocol? Now why Kyoto, the meaning of Kyoto, Kyoto means a place in Japan, okay, and protocol can be an agreement. So it is nothing but an agreement signed in Kyoto, Japan. Okay, that's why they named it as a Kyoto Protocol. So the Kyoto Protocol is an international agreement setting targets for industrialized countries. Okay, industrialized countries means developed countries. So this protocol was basically for whom? For developed countries, to cut their greenhouse gas emission. Very important. Okay, why they were asked to sign this agreement? Because they were responsible for this greenhouse gas emission. Then, now which are those harmful gases? Certain gases like carbon dioxide, methane, hydrofluorocarbon, etc. are considered responsible for the global warming. Then the protocol was agreed in 1997, very important, remember the date. So protocol was agreed in 1997 in Kyoto, Japan. Okay, and India, China and other developing countries were exempted from the requirements of Kyoto Protocol. I told you all, India, China and the other countries, they were developing. Okay, that much industries were not there in India and the other countries. Okay, so that's why we were exempted from this signing of Kyoto Protocol. Then the next topic, very important, what measures are taken by Indian government to protect environment? I told you all, see, these environmental concerns are increasing as the population is increasing. Okay, the other side, resources are depleting. So it is very important for government to take necessary step to protect our environment. So now what measures Indian government have taken? India's national auto fuel policy mandates clear fuel for vehicles. Okay, this is the first policy India adopted. Second, the Energy Conservation Act passed in 2001 outlines initiatives to improve energy efficiency. Okay, we should adopt such technology which will reduce the use of energy, that is energy efficiency. Second, then the third is the Electricity Act of 2003 encourages the use of renewable energy. For example, sun energy, solar energy, tidal energy. Okay, even the government is giving subsidies on this solar energy. Then the government is also keen to launch a national mission on biodiesel, and India has one of the largest renewable energy program in the world. So these are the various steps taken by Indian government, measures taken by Indian government to protect environment. You are always free to mention other measures taken by Indian government. So resource geopolitics, here we are going to learn about two important resources, one is oil and second is water. So first we are going to start with importance of oil in global politics. The global economy relied on oil for much of the 20th century as a portable and indispensable fuel. As we all know that the oil is very, very important to us. The immense wealth associated with oil generate political struggle to control it, and the history of petroleum is also the history of war and struggle. The immense wealth associated with oil generate political struggle to control it, and the history of petroleum is also the history of war and struggle. As we have learned in a previous chapter that US invaded Iraq. Now why they invaded Iraq? It was basically to take control of the oil fields, and we all know that the wealth generated from oil is very, very high. Then the Gulf region have about 30% of the global oil production. Iraq and Saudi Arabia are the largest producer of the oil. Water. As we all know, the water is very, very important resource. Okay, nowadays not only countries but states are also fighting because of this particular resource. See, water is a crucial resource that is relevant to global politics and increasing scarcity of fresh water in some part of the world. If you go to Middle East, if you go to UAE and all, what they are doing, they don't have fresh water. So they are converting the sea water and they are making use of the water. Okay. So then there is a disagreement over share of water resource as a leading source of conflict in 21st century. As we know, as we have studied, that India and Pakistan, we have a conflict over sharing of river water Indus. Similarly, India and Bangladesh also has an issue on sharing of river water Ganga and Brahmaputra. Like I told you all, not only countries but within country, I'll give you an example, a very simple and small example of a particular state, Goa. Now Goa has a conflict with Karnataka over the sharing of river water Madai. Okay. So this is also an example. You will come to know how the water has become an important source, how people are fighting for water. If you go to Middle East, you will see, okay, one bottle of water will cost you 60 to 70 rupees. Clear? So this is just a small example. Some commentators on world politics have referred to water war. See, in coming days, countries will fight for water and it will be named as a water war to describe the possibility of violent conflict over this life-sustaining resource. The number of studies conducted in different parts of the world shows that countries that share rivers are involved with military conflict with each other. Very good example is India and Pakistan. Okay. Along with the sharing of river water, we have many other problems, but this sharing of river water is one of the important problem. So we have learned two resources, oil and water. Then moving on to the last topic, identity of indigenous people in India. We are learning indigenous people in India. So in India, the description of indigenous people is usually applied to scheduled tribe. Remember this, who constitute nearly 8% of the population of the country. How many percent? 8%. So most of the people of indigenous nature depends for their livelihood on cultivation of land, that is agriculture. Most of the population of this indigenous nature, they are engaged in agriculture and such activities. In India, they enjoy constitutional protection, yet they need a lot of improvement in their status. As we all know that Indian constitution has given many opportunities or many rights to such groups, so that their standard will be improved. For example, reservations to SC, STs and OBCs and many other opportunities are given to them. But still, we need to work more on it. We need to give them, more opportunities to come out, to improve their social status and economic status. So then the World Council of Indigenous People was formed in 1975. Okay. So identity of indigenous people in India. Okay. So in this chapter we have focused on different environmental issues. We have seen what measures are taken by different government to tackle these environmental issues. We have seen Earth Summit, we have seen Kyoto Protocol, we have seen important resource, that is oil and water, and last we have seen the status of indigenous people in India. Thank you.
Prudent Scholars, powered by Lupin Pharmaceuticals.